Welcome back to the Addison Real Estate Podcast. Today I have Daryna Aksamitna and David S. Zek, which we will get into later. They are one of the highest performing teams in our local market, Daryna being the #1 agent in Hopatcong, New Jersey, and David being one of the top agents at Addison Real Estate. And thanks for coming, guys. How are we doing today?
Thanks for having us.
So you guys are such top agents in the market. So what's going on? What are buyers saying?
Like
what are sellers saying?
Imposter syndrome.
I know.
Agent, I'm like, oh, me? Who?
It's true.
Like, who
It's
are you
true.
talking about?
I don't know. I'm just selling houses. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're #1? Is anyone even close to second? Like,
Of course.
There's
we
always-
have great agents even in this office.
Yeah, there's
So
it's that this whole group is high
Amazing.
producing.
Yeah. Well, I
So.
know as an office, we are #1 in Hopatcong, but it's nice to
That's
have.
Daryna. Yeah, that's
It's all Daryna.
That's all Daryna.
it's not bad.
there's like
Thank you for
there's like
recognition.
Daryna and then a couple sprinkles of everyone else in the
No,
back on.
there are a lot of people there.
Yeah. And so, what are your buyers and sellers? How are they? What are they talking about? What are they doing? You know, they're dealing with such top agents who know their stuff, can be guided and educated properly. So, what's kind of the feel you're getting from them?
That they need to be guided a little,
Yeah.
you know. That's why when a person is looking to sell or purchase, if they haven't done it before or if they've done it long time ago, they definitely need some guidance, some advice on how to do things, how long it takes. And even if you did it not recently, but every couple years ago, if you did it, every transaction is different. The market is changing. So all they want to do is have some guidance and advice on how to do it right and stress-free as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in like a really weird time to both be a buyer and seller because buyers have become more timid with their offers and they're being a little more reluctant to go way over. And I think they're really looking to fall in love with properties again.
Yeah.
And I think for sellers are looking back. We just experienced one that some of the comps in the area from July and September were really high, but now we're in winter market and sellers, I feel like, haven't adjusted their expectations as much.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting period where I think guidance is more important than ever.
Yeah, I think sellers, they always look at the numbers from their peak and they don't think about what time of year it is. I think when they think the market's hot all year round. And no, it's like, you know how many text messages I get in November of, hey, we're going to wait till after the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It goes in waves all the time in waves.
But that's
also, it's very tied up to a school year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Big time. Like the end of August, early September, people don't want to do it because their kids are driving them nuts.
Yeah.
And then they want to
Christmas holidays is dead.
Oh.
It is weird because you see like every year the typicals are like the end of August and then it slows down till the end of September and then the end of September is looking to get in after, right before or after the holidays. And so that's predictable, right? Mm-hmm. What I think is the unpredictable part now is just the expectation in terms of purchase prices. But we're still seeing like appraisals are coming in where they need to be. And,
I haven't had a low appraisal in a while.
Yeah.
I think for buyers, like now is a great, like if you were looking for that in the past 3 years, if you were looking at that time where you're going to get something and get a good value, I think now's a good option to buy if you can get past the rate hump, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed before, those monthly payments, man, are brutal.
Yeah. Now you have to understand why you're purchasing a house because most of the times it's not because it's low monthly payment. It's usually the same or sometimes even a little higher than the rent that you could be paying for this similar home.
Yeah.
So you have to see how long you're going to live in that house, the equity you're going to build, and what you get with home ownership instead of renting. If you're looking to purchase for a year, it's a tough market to be in a house just for a year or two.
What got you into real estate, Daryna, and then David? And then what keeps you in there now?
So I started in 2014. I came here as an au pair, and I was babysitting kids, and I was heavily dated. And one of the guys I went out with was a lender, like a mortgage broker. And the mother of the kids I was an au pair for, She started flipping at that time because it was a great time. All the houses flood from 2008, and you could buy a house for 30K. Of course, if you had that 30K, but you could buy it, renovate, and sell for 150, and you could make money because the renovation was also not that expensive.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like we see a $150,000 renovation as a norm, but back then, 50K was like, you can redo the whole house. Plus, those were all small houses, like 2-bedroom, 1 bath. You make it nice, you make it good. 150, it's flying off the shelf. Yeah. Everybody saw the value of owning real estate again, because that was another story, how, owning a home was not a priority in 2009. So many people left their houses because their mortgage payments were much higher than the rent they could be paying somewhere else.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went out with this guy. He told me, why aren't you going into real estate? Like, you have the means, you have the looks, you have the first client already. Like, what is stopping you? So I went and I talked to the mom of the kids, and I said, hey, I'm thinking of going into real estate school. And she said, I'll go with you. I'm like, damn, here goes my first client, becoming a realtor. But we went, and we're still working together, and that's how I got my first client there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and first 5 years in real estate, I was part-time. I was only doing it in the morning, at night, on weekends, and then when the money from real estate became more than my day job,
yeah,
I decided that it was time to switch completely into real estate. So in 2019, I became a full-time agent.
Nice.
And my first year, my first year in real estate in 2014, I made $6,000.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in 2019, when I went solo and full-time, I made 50K that first year. But it was like, I had to, because I already had the mortgage that I had to pay without a paycheck.
Yeah.
I had insurance that I had to pay for, because real estate doesn't have health insurance, and it's expensive. It's like $500 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to be without one, because I don't know if they will help me without one. American health system, gosh. But anyway, yeah. And I've been growing after that.
Awesome. Awesome. And what about you, David?
I have an opposite story. So I was doing music photography, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I watched my calendar completely disappear. And our broker Kelly, I had known for probably at least a decade from the music scene.
Yeah.
And I called her and I said, and I had always thought about real estate. I'd always been super interested in it. But I was like, oh, I'm a freak. I can't do it. Like, it's not for me. So I called Kelly, and I said, hey, do you think I would do good in real estate? And she said, I'll tell you what, come sit down with me for 3 hours. And if you're not afraid after, then go get your license. And we did. We sat for like 3.5 hours in the office, and she broke down every nightmare story possible and how difficult the business is. And I went and got my real estate license 2 weeks later.
So it didn't scare you much?
No, because I have this thing where I can gauge once I'm talking to somebody. I have this thing where I can gauge if I'm going to put my all into it or not.
Yeah.
And so if there's even a hint of me feeling like I'm not going to be good at it, I just don't do it.
What are your expectations? Is this what you expected?
Like for the general business?
Yeah.
It kind of exceeded my expectations a little bit, because I had pictured it being very transactional, even from a buyer-seller standpoint. But I've learned that if you're just human with people, they'll interact the same way. So I've been really lucky with some of my people where I still have dinner with them and their kids, and I still meet up for coffee before open houses. And so it exceeded my expectations in the sense of part of the music thing was it's a community, and you could do that in real estate too. Even within our office, we have a great community within our office. Yeah. So I think it definitely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, you meet some really nice people, very different people, and I've had clients have me go to their kid's birthday party. I've had clients invite me to their home for dinner, and you walk in and like, oh, look at all the changes we made. Like, look at everything we did. Like, oh, this is different. Or they're like, I know this is not your fault, but we found something in the basement that's really bad, but it's not your fault. Like,
and for me, it's totally connected me with people that I probably normally wouldn't have connected with outside of real estate. Mm-hmm. So
it's really good. Yeah, it's a really good experience to be meeting with different people. And when I first joined, I was thinking very transactional. And then real estate is not transactional.
When emotional. I joined, I thought it's going to be, you're showing houses, everything is glamour. You know, there was like...
There's no glamour.
There's no glamour.
Exactly. There was this like $1 million listing on TV. It was like, that was a...
Oh yeah, complete opposite.
There was Ryan Serhant, and then there was Frederick something, and I'm looking at them, and all they do is show. They never like stop. They only show. So I thought it was going to be the same way.
You never see paperwork either.
Exactly. You don't see paperwork. You don't see how you hunt for leads. You don't see following up all the time.
No, you don't see that.
You don't see all the back part of the business that goes into it if you want to be successful.
Yep.
No.
And if you want to create those relationships with people, not transactions.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less showing than you would think.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shows, a lot less
the shows are just like, hey, show this property. We're gonna put in an offer. You never see it, and then you just see negotiations, and then you see they either got it, they didn't. Like, oh my gosh.
I think like the perception of what we do and like what we actually do are super different.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So what do you think people think you do, and then what's your response to that?
I think like our general joke is that people think we're door openers.
Well, that we're showing all the time. All the time, I think that people think that I'm just going to other people's homes and just walking around.
Yeah.
That's all I do. Just from the morning till night, I just go around and see other houses.
And listen, to be fair, there are certain months of the year where it feels like that.
When I say that I'm working from home, most of my friends are like, but you're a realtor. Like, how do you work from home? You have to show houses. Like, no, there is so much more to it. Just showing.
Like realistically, you're only showing like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, like Monday through Thursday is sort of like communication, paperwork, and like
and setting up
babysitting.
showings for the weekend.
We babysit a bit sometimes.
Clients?
No, but like. Just you're making sure attorneys are on top of things because they have 10, 15 deals going.
Oh, yeah.
You make sure lenders are doing their stuff. And so you're kind of like the glue that holds it all together because your clients are out working and they're working their day jobs and their night jobs and they don't have time to follow up with everyone. Mm-hmm. So you're the one who has to make sure like appraisals got scheduled, home inspections are scheduled.
Make sure everything's moving smoothly.
And even the least stressful transaction is still very stressful.
Oh my gosh. A smooth transaction is like stress level is still here.
Yeah.
You're still worried about like what bomb is about to go off. It's just like, at least me personally.
For me, because like, and I'll be open. Like, I mean, I've had transactions that have been like, I can't do this anymore. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And then you get a smooth one, and it's like all it means is you didn't cry. Like that's all it really means is like,
And so, because there's so much stress involved, how do you guys handle the emotional highs and lows? Like, this closing, it's super great. And then sometimes you have just insane clients. How do you handle the emotional highs and lows in real estate?
Oh, David is the one that is like, oh, it's going to shit. Away, it's going to shit. And I'm always like, David, relax. It's going to be fine.
That's one of the best things about us is like, Daryna is so like, she's so on top of business, right? And it's so admirable, but she's also calm. She doesn't care. She's like, it's going to be fine. It's all going to work itself out. Like,
I care, but it's not going to break it or like, it's not going to change anything if you're stressful in that situation.
Yeah. She cares to the point where she is like so level-headed that she's just like, let's just solve the problem.
Yeah.
Whereas I have freak out moments at times where I'm like, the world is collapsing, life's over. She holds it together with that.
Well, I will say one of the things you say the most is, well, the problem is. That's like your number one expression.
Real estate.
David, there are no problems.
Real estate is one giant problem to me. And then Daryna will be like, it's not a problem. And I'm like, all right, well.
Yeah, I'm like, everything is fixable. Listen, they found out that we're not connected to public sewer and we have a septic. Let's find out how much it is to connect to septic.
Okay.
Let's
So
not break
Whereas
it.
I'm like, lawsuits and
Okay, let's do this. Let's do that. You received an offer you don't like. Okay, let's do this.
So you think solving these problems and dealing with all these emotions from your end and the clients comes from just, well, one, experience, and then two, just seeing it as
like temperament.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in a person. You know, there are people who are worrisome. There are people who are calm. I'm more on the calm side, just because I've seen it, and also not only because that, but because there are things that you cannot control. Yeah. Every deal is gonna have a problem. No matter how smooth, every deal is gonna have a problem. So in that transaction, I am trying to stay calm for my clients. Yeah. I'm trying to see the solution right away. And if the deal doesn't work out, which happens, it happens at 20-25% of all the deals. It just doesn't happen. It happens. You find something better, something nicer. It's not the end of the world. And I'm just seeing how I can help instead of creating the drama. And there is always some person in a transaction who's a drama. And I'm trying not to be that one.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think it just comes down to there's only a few things that can happen. You're still going to buy the home, you get a credit, or they fix it, or you walk away.
Well, and
at the end of the day.
And sometimes, as corny as it sounds, you go with if it's meant to be, it'll be.
Exactly.
And I think real estate will show you that. Like, I've seen people get houses that never in a million years did I think they were going to win.
Yeah.
And when it's the one, it's the one.
And sometimes the problems just resolve itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just give it a day, try not to think about, and it just somehow resolves itself. Because in the end of the day, if the buyer really wants the house, they will try to find the way too. You just give them the options how to achieve there, and then they decide whether they want to deal with it or not. Yeah. And the same goes for the seller. If they really want to sell, if they really need to, then you give them the options too. Yes, they might not like the option, but if that's the end result that they want, you just have to do it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've gotten better. You've sort of been, she's sort of been like a yoga mentor for me. Because I used to, when I first started, this is before me and Daryna, but when I first started, it was like some of these deals would really heavily weigh in.
Oh, I would literally lose sleep at night.
Oh yeah.
Anxiety.
I would take them home and I would dream about them and I would answer the phone no matter what I was doing, and there was no boundaries. And then over time, you kind of, well, first of all, you're like, for longevity's sake, I can't live like this.
No, you can't go like
Here is the rule that helped me a lot, and I tell that to everybody. We are not saving lives.
Yeah, that's true.
If you don't pick up that phone that same second, it's not going to kill a deal.
No.
You can call them back if you're in the middle of something. If you're with your family, you can call them back in half hour, in an hour. It's not going to go anywhere. And there is no problem in real estate that's unresolvable. You either resolve it or you walk away from the deal.
And I think like going on what you said, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that agents make is they forget that they're human and they try not to be. And they try to be consistently accessible for everybody, and it's just not possible. Yeah. And like agent burnout's a real thing.
Yeah.
And your clients are people too, and they can understand. Yeah. Like, hey, can I call you in 20 minutes? I'm in the middle of something. 100% of the time they will say, sure.
That's one of the crazy things when you're a new agent just starting out, you forget that people are people. Like, you're looking at these clients like they're not going to be able to like acknowledge a family dinner or a birthday or you know, but they do. And
we're lucky because all our clients are very nice people. I have nothing bad to say about a single client I had.
Well, I feel like because we're at the point too where like if people work with us, they kind of get us at this point. So I feel like we only attract people that we are good to work with.
Yeah. And you guys are pretty, again, if you guys are laid back, you're most likely going to attract laid back people. And I think that was one thing that I've learned, and I've come to like, whenever I see it on social media, I cringe. Like when people are like working 24/7, like that. Why? That sucks. I know. That's stupid. Like, why do you want clients? Why do you want to be texting clients at 10 o'clock at night?
The whole
like,
sleep when you die thing.
Yeah,
is
no,
like,
I don't. I'm a human.
You die faster if you.
Yeah, I'm like.
Yeah,
I could see my parents. You know, like.
I don't understand it, and I think it's just this weird thing. You come into the industry, and yeah, you have to grind. You got to work so much, but it's not like you don't got to be weird, like some crazy robot. Like you're working with people.
It's a different kind of work, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like, you know, people are always like, well, how often do you work? And I always say it's impossible to really put you can't pin it to a 40-hour week because every week is different, right? But like some days are 12-hour days, some days are 3-hour days, but you're still mentally
in it.
You're in
your brain's on.
Yeah, you never when you have 5 or 6 or 7 deals going on, you're never out of it. They're always running in your head.
Yeah, for sure. And I think. When you guys joined Addison Real Estate, I know, Daryna, you came from another office or a couple other offices, and David, this is your first one. What are your perspectives, and why did you join Addison Real Estate, and how's that influence how you look at deals and how you deal with people and all that stuff?
You want to go
Should I start?
You can start this.
So for me, I joined in 2019. When Kelly just opened it, and there were like 4 agents here, and she had a small room in Ledgewood, and she just called me, and she told me afterwards that she said to her friend, she said to her wife that she will never, ever, like, I'm just gonna call, but I know she's gonna say no. And that's a tactic too, when you need to call somebody, and you know the answer is gonna be no, you just get yourself to like, okay, the answer is gonna be no, I just have to hear it, right?
Yeah.
So she called me, and we've done a couple deals with Kelly beforehand. So she called me, and she's like, hey, listen, I'm opening my brokerage, and I was wondering if you would like to join. And I was at the point where I was living an hour away in Remax Premier. They're great. In Warren. And then I said, hey, if you match what they're doing for me, I can move. But I need not the worst part. But it was better for me because it was local. Because I would have to drive an hour for all the meetings and stuff, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So we met, and she offered me what they were doing, and I had a really good deal there. So she offered me the same part, and I said, okay, I'll join. And that's how I joined Addison Real Estate. So I was with 4 brokerages total. I was with Keller Williams, with Weichert, and with Remax. And after going on multiple listing appointments with different brokerages behind me, what they give you as a new agent is the name, but they don't give you any training. It's very hard to get that push, to get that understanding of what a real estate agent should do on everyday basis. Again, you see the TV and you see that they're all showing. So you're trying to fill your day with showings, but you never follow up. So it seems like you're busy, but you're actually not doing business.
You're not productive.
You're not productive. You're just showing, and your day is full, but you never submit an offer. Or if you submit an offer, you don't know like how to submit an offer.
Oh, boy.
Exactly. So with being in 3 brokerages before that and listing appointments, I understood that when I go on listing appointment, I am the one they're signing up with, not the brokerage.
Yeah.
Because I was very scared of that in the beginning, because I would go and like, I'm with Addison Real Estate, and the seller would be like, who? Like what, when, where? But when I went on listing appointments with Addison Real Estate as my broker, people were asking like who, and I explained to them, hey, we're small, we're super local, but here is my statistics, because I can outbid, outsell, like here is what I do for you, and it doesn't matter who's standing behind me and what sign you have in your front lawn. As long as your house is sold, it's sold with as less stress as possible, and with the price that you have in mind.
Yeah.
So if those 3 are met, who cares what sign is in the front? And after all, people are dealing with people. It's not like they're going to call the president of Remax and be like, why my house hasn't been sold? It's going to be me you're calling to.
Yeah. So the clients don't care about where you work. They just want you.
Exactly.
No.
People work with people. People choose people.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think like I think maybe in 4 years and change that I've experienced the brokerage issue once, and it was a very simple conversation, because it's like our numbers still speak for themselves. Like, you know, we're still, but that was kind of one of the things for me is like, I didn't I didn't want to go a corporate route, right? I didn't want to be a part of a brokerage that had, 200 agents and nobody knew each other. And it just wasn't the environment I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I knew Kelly as a creative person would bring that into the real estate side. Mm. And I knew that she was already successful, right? And Kelly came in and did real estate when realtors didn't look like her. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have sleeve tattoos and mohawks and Kelly
which
did
we
it.
have a podcast on in my YouTube channel.
And she came in and she did it successfully. And I don't know, I wanted a place where I can learn and grow and actually communicate with people who are out there doing it instead of it feeling like a competition.
How do you think Addison Real Estate has changed the way you do business? Daryna, I know you came from other brokerages. And then David, how do you see Addison Real Estate changing the way you do business from the way you started to where you are now?
I think we're just from the get-go, we're kind of like a people over profits business. Mm-hmm. So I think that mentality is really healthy to have, right? Because I know some agents, not going to name names, but I know some agents that are with more corporate brokerages that I think they probably view clients more as a number. And Kelly doesn't really stand for that from day one. Yeah. So everyone I think that's with us right now, I think legitimately cares about people and wanting to help people.
Yeah. I think there's been many times where agents in our office are just like, yeah, I might have lost money on this one.
Right? Oh, yeah. I mean, how many times last year did we give up commissions?
Oh, we did.
Oh, I mean,
just in order to save the deal.
Yeah.
Because we want the people to achieve their
we had
wishes. Yeah.
We had a homeowner last year that she had a family. She was in love with her house. Mm-hmm. She overcame every obstacle possible on the sale of hers. And we gave up a part of our commission to make sure she could have the house. Yeah. And it wasn't even like, the thing with me and Daryna that's awesome is like, it's never even a discussion. It's like, we're just going to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's still a transaction. It's still a happy client. And you make something for them. In return, 10 years down the line, doesn't matter when, but good karma comes back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you do something good that feels right.
Yeah.
And that's what we stand for. We always try to do what feels right, and not from the money standpoint, but from the standpoint of compassion, to other people. We know how hard it is to live.
Yeah.
We know. We've been there. I've come from making $200 a week. So I know how hard it is.
I always said, like, the moment I can't sleep at night is I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean? Because when you're compromising your moral values to do it, it's probably time to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, what Addison Group does differently is, number one is training and value of every agent. No company that I've been to, besides probably Keller Williams, but they have a very corporate way of doing your CRM, like everything. They have a training on how to start 75 days, I think. Mm-hmm. So they do that. And that's why it was my first brokerage, because I had no idea what to do. And they were the only one who offered me at least some guidance.
Yeah.
But Kelly does so much more and so much deeper. And also, even for seasoned agents, like, if you don't know something, you just ask. You feel free to call. It's a small brokerage, which I like, because I was with Keller Williams in Morristown that had 350 agents. And sometimes I wouldn't even know who they are. Like, they would just come to the office and I'll be like, okay, someone new is here.
Yeah.
But anyway, Addison Group gives you the training you need to succeed. And that was different with others. That's number one for a new agent or seasoned agent. Because even though I was like, 5 years in real estate at the time I switched, I still didn't know half of the things I know now.
Yeah.
I still didn't do half of the things I do now. So it's good to grow in the right company.
Yeah, I mean, how many companies have brokers that will call you and be like, "Hey, I'm just calling to let you know I'm proud of you." You know what I mean? Like, just a little thing like that you just don't get other places. I think really, like, is the separation.
Yeah. And I think not only do we think people over profits when dealing with clients, but that starts from the top up. And I think Kelly does a really good job at people over profits because we make her money. So people over profits when it comes to my agents.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
always
there. I've called Kelly. I've talked to Kelly about a lot of things outside of real estate, and she's just been really there. And I think a lot of the agents feel that there is a personal touch here.
Yeah, like we're saying about like us giving up part of our commission.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have to call Kelly to ask if we can do that. We just did it, and we knew that she would agree no matter what.
That's like one of the funny things for us is when people do say like, oh, but what about brokerage X or brokerage Y? And it's like, good luck. You know what I mean? Like, like try to get them to do the stuff that we're like authorized to do. Mm-hmm. And it's a fight. It's a battle because they don't care. You're a number for them.
Yeah.
You know,
and here, as long as you don't get sued, you can do a lot.
Yeah. As long as you're not doing anything illegal, Kelly's like, hey, like that's her big thing is like, just don't do anything illegal.
Yeah.
Right. Like be legal, be ethical.
Be legal, be ethical.
And you could do whatever you want.
Addison Real Estate, be legal.
Yeah. And at the same time, I think me and Daryna too, agree where we're like, even if it were a situation where it was like, hey guys, I still need the cut. I think we would still probably cut our commissions if we had to, because some things are out of clients' control.
I mean, think of it. You have a client so the attorney's going to be like, your agent's not cutting the commission. It will only work if they cut it. If you have a client that sees, oh my gosh, my hardworking agent sacrificed their money to make sure I have this, versus, wow, my agent or his broker couldn't come down, or they refused to come down because they could. What does that even look like? For a past client follow-up. Like, they're going to never want to deal with you again.
You
just lost business because you didn't want to do business right.
Future business, future karma.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. The karma factor of it is a huge deal.
Yeah, it's just not good.
No.
So, fun questions.
Okay.
Daryna, I know you probably have a lot, and so do you, David.
Boy.
What is the most horror situation you've run into being a realtor? Either a really crazy story, a crazy house, or maybe a few things.
Well, the crazy house is 20 Afterglow. You can look it up on Zillow. It's in Sparta. That one is interesting.
Which, like, shout out to that agent.
Yeah.
Like, who's doing that?
Well,
that's
Pinnacle. It's a Pinnacle
in
Sparta. They do all the bank-owned homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they know how scary the house is.
Well, he virtually staged it, so it doesn't look as scary on pictures, but
it's scary in person.
In person, I have a video too on my Instagram.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, I'll add all your Instagrams and stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah. The crazy story was, I had like a bunch, but I'm just blacking out. But one of the stories was I had an open house on the River Styx Road in Hopatcong. This was a long time ago. And like 2 minutes before the open house, 2 guys rush in. They go into the house and they say, "Where is the basement here? Where is the basement here?" And I'm like, over there. They're like, "Can you show it to us?" I'm like, "Do you want to see the rest of the house?" Like, why do we have to go straight to the basement? So I said, "Hey, I have a phone call. I have to go take it." I pretended I have a phone call. I'm like, "Go ahead and like check out the house." And I went outside and I called a friend, and they were just inside for like 10 minutes. I was outside all the time talking, and I only went back inside after they drove away because I didn't feel safe. And a lot of times I would feel that way.
Yeah.
It's hard for women in this business.
Yeah, Daryna,
it is.
As a woman, do you feel like extra dangerous doing this job? Do you feel like very nervous, or how do you feel?
No, not really. Like, I usually, number 1, Google people that I meet. Number 2 is usually couples, people that like, I don't know. I always trust my gut, and if I don't feel right, I ask. Like, there was a guy, I remember there was a guy who called me. He wanted to see this vacant house in Green Township, and something just didn't feel right. He was a cash buyer for $650,000. He could not produce a proof of funds, And
classic.
Like,
Typical,
I just felt off. Like, it just felt, the whole conversation felt off, and I trust my gut.
We've had situations where I've done it because I'm like a big burly dude, but I'm not scared.
I tell like where I am, and like if it's creepy, I'm like, hey, I'm at this address. If I don't call you in 20 minutes, call the cops.
Listen, and I'm a big dude, and I've called people to that, like, where I got a weird vibe, to just come and sit outside the house. And I was like, hey, if I'm not out in 25 minutes, like, call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
some sketchy stuff that happens.
I had a guy call one time on this like vacant, distressed property. He's like, I would like to see this property. And he's like, dude, super sketchy. And I just hung up. And then our office admin, Aunt Jean, she listened to the phone call on Zillow. And she was like, yeah, I was going to I was gonna call you and say, do not go there.
I had a contractor, because I deal a lot with renovations. So one morning, I see contractor calling me, like it just says contractor, and he's calling me on FaceTime, right? And I'm like, on Facebook Messenger, like the video on Facebook Messenger.
Very strange already.
Anyway, he's calling me at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm picking up, and there is a guy jerking off.
Oh my God.
See, that's the stuff that we can't relate to.
No, us men are not getting that.
No, I mean, like, it's funny because like hearing your scary stories and then hearing mine, I'm like, for me, I'm like, I fell through a staircase once. You know,
you saw a naked guy. Remember?
I saw a naked guy.
I've seen a naked person.
I totally was showing. I was showing a couple a house in I want to say it was Nutley, and we go in. The front door is locked, and there's the lock boxes out. And I call the agent. He's like, no, like it should, like the key should be there. The agent before wound up taking the key.
Nice.
But he was like, listen, go around back. He was like, just go around back. It should be open. So we go around back. We're touring the house. We're not being quiet. We're pretty loud throughout the house. And we go into the master bedroom, and lo and behold, the guy's butt naked on the bed, laid out, just watching some show, and my client just slams the door, and we just booked it. We never went. You know, we didn't finish the tour. No offers.
Hey, that doesn't affect the house. It's just like,
exactly. It's still not leads to.
You got to see past it. You got to see the potential of the home.
And then like I had a house in Blairstown, and you know, there's those houses you pull up to where you're like, this is gonna be. This is gonna. Home. Well, it's
you
like
get the feel of it.
Yeah, you're like, I'm gonna have to shower immediately after. I have to put my bad shoes on. And we walked in, and there was probably a dozen cats and fleas. Just you can visibly see the fleas jumping off the counter between the counter and the cats. And
I had a fleas incident.
Oh, it's terrifying. Like that's the stuff. I was like, Daryna's getting weird calls and Facebook messages. I'm scared of the fleas. I don't like.
I was all in fleas, and I felt them on my legs.
Oh
like
no!
They were biting. So
gosh.
I had a listing like another street over. I went to a listing that was vacant, and I took a shower, and I took a staging towel and went in a staging towel.
I just want to point out we're super overpaid.
I just threw away the clothes, like because they were all infested already.
Wait, what did you go home in?
In a staging towel.
You drove home in the towel? Oh, how amazing was that if she got pulled over? Like, Daryna.
All right, so in real estate, we're worried about sexual predators and fleas.
Fleas are a big, like...
and the ghosts.
Ghosts, too.
Oh, yeah?
Dude, I've had... so the house, I don't care what anyone says, right? Half our brokerage is, like, down the middle, like, believes in, like, spiritual stuff, and the other half is, like, no way. Yeah. And so, I have two houses. The one in Hopatcong on Brooklyn Mountain.
Oh, I remember that one.
I may have talked a little bit of shit in the house about the house. And specifically, I had gone to this house twice. And there was a wheelchair in the basement. But like a very old wheelchair, nothing that looked, you know, and when we came the second time, it was a completely different spot. And like my thing was like, this basement plus the house plus this wheelchair looks so decrepit that there was no way somebody went in and played with it. right? So I don't remember what it was. I made a joke looking back where I'm like, oh, that's not great. And so we're going up to the she shed, and all of us go up, no problem. And then I can't get the door open. The door's not unlocking. The client takes the key, opens the door. And I was really close with these clients at this point. I kind of just mumbled like, fuck. And I turned around and I started walking down the steps, and then bam, I just fell completely through the steps.
This house did not like you.
No, and what's crazy is I missed a nail. I missed a nail by like that much.
It was trying to put you out.
It was trying to kill me. The house was trying to kill me. Lo and behold, I never go back to the house again. And it was fine, I think. I don't know whoever bought it, but maybe we should check up on them. And then the second incident I ever had with like a haunted house was a house in Nekong on the main strip. And one of our agents, Brian, had went there, and he puts in the group chat, guys, like, don't go there. Like, it's my client didn't even want to go in. And like, we're laughing. We're like, haha, Brian's being a baby. And I go to this house, and I'm waiting for my client to show up. I can't even like express I became like sad. It was just a very weird, it was a very weird vibe, so much so that I sat outside waiting for my client. And when my client got there, they took maybe 3 steps in. And they were like, yeah, no. And they walked out, and I was like, wait, don't leave. I have to turn the lights off. And I made them like go in and turn the lights off with me. But we do deal with some haunted houses, I think.
You do walk into properties, and you're like, oh, like something happened here.
Were you
and it looks fine, but you just get a presence.
You don't have to disclose who died in this house.
Were you ever in the house in Lake Shawnee? Were you with me with that? Which one? The one that looked like, I called Kelly after. And I'm like,
looked like somebody died there, like with blood.
Oh my God! There was like what looked like the kitchen. It was like what looked like blood splatter everywhere. I called Kelly, and was like, Kelly, like, should I call the cops? Because it looked like. And what's crazy is I just showed it like a month or two ago, like renovated, and it still looks like somebody got killed there, but a little nicer,
right?
But still the same quality of murder.
The scariest houses, I would say, are the ones where kids live.
Yeah.
And you see how horribly they live.
Oh,
and you then afterwards you can't stop thinking about it. And afterwards you are thinking like, do I call child services on that or not? Because at the same time, like, I would not want them to be separated from parents, but their conditions are so bad that it's just a moral question. Like, do you call somebody to alert, or do you just like say nothing? Because the way that people live with kids,
it's crazy.
It's just crazy when you see kids being in conditions that they definitely should not be in. So that's the hardest. Like, all the ghost stories and murder scenes, okay, but did you die, right?
Yeah, you see crazy stuff. You see the way people live. I've walked into homes where it's like a haze of like cigarette and like something else. Like the walls are literally like gold from being yellow, and like you smell like cat piss on the carpet, and it's just like you need a gas mask.
Like hoarder houses where like you can't. You're trying to figure out how to get a pathway through. You're like can't. And
so bad.
And then the other thing too is like that I think a lot of people don't realize too is like it's not all. I think when you think of real estate, you're like, oh, someone's selling, someone's buying. And I remember very early on, I kind of had a weird reminder of the circumstances that some people have. And I remember I walked into a house for a listing appointment, and I'm giddy, I'm happy, I'm going into a listing appointment, and the woman, she might have been 35, 36 years old, and she had a 2-month-old baby, and she's showing me around the house, and as I'm walking the house, I'm like, oh, this is not a happy sale. The husband was a 38-year-old guy, and he had gone to like jiu-jitsu class, and he had a stroke in the middle of class and passed away. And it clicked when there was a picture of him and the child, and it had the date, and I realized he never met the baby. Like he never got to meet the kid. And so that I'm grateful. I'm sad, but I'm grateful because that happened so early on for me that when I go to places, it's always in the back of my head. Like, hey, not every sale is a happy sale.
Yeah, I had that mistake too. I went for a listing appointment, and it was in Vernon, very nice home. I'm walking around, and I'm asking, like, so when you're ready to sell, where are you going? And the lady's like, well, we don't live here. It was my brother's home, and he shot himself a week ago.
Oh, what do you
say? And I'm just standing there, because I would never know in a million years.
Yeah.
That's the case.
Yeah,
what'd you say after that?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, of course.
Yeah, those are hard because
he was depressed for a long time. He felt alone. They would not know it. So it was very tragic for the whole family. Yeah. And I'm glad that I was able to help them, at least to take this off their plate, because they were so in the will and, all the proceedings that this was the last thing they wanted to think about. Mm-hmm. So I was happy that in that hard time, at least I can help them somehow to unload the load.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's going on.
There's moments like that where you're like, they're very sad moments, but they're also very rewarding because like you're doing this with a purpose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you're doing it for a good reason. And but yeah, like nobody thinks about that. Nobody really tells you about that. Like nobody can warn you.
No, there's no training. There's no nothing for that. And I think, like you said, it can be very rewarding. What do you think is the most rewarding part of dealing with clients, or maybe a really big success? Oh my gosh, I can't even believe this happened, in a good light for your clients.
Seeing people building families.
Yeah.
Growing out of their homes, when they're like, well, we're having a baby, second one, we need to sell this one. So to see that for people, it's a part of their life, their home. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's much more than just a property, a paycheck, a mortgage. Mm-hmm. It's the place where they feel happy, where they create memories. It's a part of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To see that, it's very rewarding.
Mm-hmm. When I first started, I was always told VAs they're difficult, they're hard. And I jumped right into doing VAs. Mm-hmm. And I've had so much fun helping those families because they're either military, some of them are ex-military, current police, first responders. And there's so many people there's so many agents that are veteran agents that don't understand VA loans. Mm-hmm. Or how to really break it down. So for me, I dove right into helping those people. That's super satisfying for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, helping out those people who feel, I think even sometimes they come to you already knowing that they've been shooed away. Or they've just been looked at as no one can help me and no one wants to help me. And then just being an agent who knows your stuff, who's been trained so well that you're just like, listen, maybe your situation is not the best, but we're going to make it work.
VA are afraid that their offer will not be accepted because it's 0% down. Mm-hmm. But then, on the other hand, there are some sellers that actually want to sell to VA because they honor the service. Mm-hmm. And when you explain that, hey, you tell a little bit of life story. You send a letter, which you can't do anymore, but the buyers can, right? As an agent, you can, but you can't. But as the buyers, you can.
Yeah.
So you send a story, a little bit of where you've been, what you've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some sellers, it's not all about greed and money.
Yeah.
You see that too part, but you see more and more people who are people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I see way less greedy sellers than I do if you just talk to them human.
Yeah.
They'll be human. Mm-hmm. Most sellers, if it's not a business transaction for them, if it's not an investment, most sellers want the house to be loved the way they love the house.
Yeah.
So.
That's the only thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And also what I noticed a lot in this business is that when the seller and the buyer meet, the transaction will go 50% better.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It for some reason, when they have a face to the buyer or a face to the seller and they realize it's a human.
But you're kind of taught don't let them meet.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
you hear that all the time. Don't let them meet. It kills deals. I don't agree with that.
I haven't had like, yes, sometimes it could, but in the end of the day, like they understand that, oh, it's not an attorney on the other side.
Yeah.
The attorney is being difficult, but the people are listening to their attorney. So when the seller and the buyer meet, sometimes that is the way to solve the miscommunication that's been going on between attorneys, because attorneys are very
Risk averse.
No, they're like they need to win. That's why they're in this business. They're in law. They want to win. That's what we see on TV too. And you stand in front and you say, this is real estate. So you want to win the best for your client, which should be like that. You want to have the best transaction for your clients. But sometimes it gets too much of, look what I can do.
Yeah.
Instead of, let's have this closed.
Yeah, exactly. So. And I had a showing one time with a couple, and the family was home, and I was like, oh, usually buyers get uncomfortable when the people are there.
Oh, yeah.
But I was there for 45 minutes, and they were just chatting it up. I was sweating because I'm nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, like something's going to happen. Someone's going to say something. Oh my gosh. And the sellers accepted, at that time, it was very hard to get FHA with concession, and under asking, they took it. They were like, we love them.
That
happened to us too.
Yeah.
In West Orange.
Oh yeah, West Orange, because they met. And I also had a FHA with a 5-month close. The guy needed 5-month close because he was his raise was kicking in. And we went to the house and they met the sellers, and they had so much in common. They accepted the offer on the spot. I didn't even have it written yet. I had to call the agent and be like, hey, I'm writing a crazy offer just to let you know they already talked about it,
Wow. And you're probably sweating. You're like, this is like, I don't know. It's hard.
This is not typical, but I was also told to F off once when the seller and the buyer met, and the buyer decided that was the time to negotiate the offer.
Oh, well,
they lowballed, and the seller got mad. They threw us out of the house. They told me not to ever show up in their house. They effed everybody around, and our cars included. And I was like, shoot, like, you do not negotiate the offer at the site.
Yeah.
How'd that okay, so that's insanity. So, like, how that you walk in, sellers are home. Like, describe what happened.
It was for sale by owner.
Oh.
But he was willing. He was willing to work with the buyer's agent. It was a distressed property, but distressed in a way that he fixed it up a little bit where he could, but it was not done right, and it was not done nice. Like, he thought it's in a move-in ready, but it was not.
Yeah.
So, and this guy, he was looking for a house for himself, but he wanted it to be done right. So, and you know what? The house was listed probably for like $315, and this guy offered $295. So it wasn't low ball. Like, it was a start of conversation, but the seller flipped out. Like, he was F-bombing everybody, threw us out of the house. Like, I was like, whoa. And then afterwards, I was driving past his house all the time, seeing that for sale sign, and then he sold for $290.
Nice.
So he took less anyway.
Nice.
He did.
Yeah.
It was like a year after. I just never talked to him, nothing. I'm like, I know my lesson. I'm just going to forget.
Did you have to tell your clients, hey, let's like never do that again?
Yeah, there's some situations you just don't throw yourself into.
You have to read the room.
Yeah.
This guy was very proud of the work he did. Even though it was not right, he was very proud of the work he did.
We've been there.
Yeah.
We've had some.
Have you guys showed like a famous house or a house where something like kind of historic happened?
Oh my God, yes. So it wasn't historic. It wasn't that famous, but I lived in Greenbrook, and there was a house that was famously abandoned in the neighborhood, and that house was insane. It's right near Washington State Park, and Washington State Park is where George Washington was overlooking New York. So the view is spectacular. And this house was like $1.7 million back then. This was like 10 years ago.
Oh, damn. It's like 3 now.
Huh?
It's like $3 million now, yeah.
It's a gorgeous home. So knowing that no one lives there, my client and a friend asked me, how can I buy this house? Like, it's in a foreclosure proceedings. Who owns it? Like, what is happening with it? Now, it was not in the foreclosure yet, but the house was standing there, and we decided, we want to see it. So we went to see the house. It was not for sale, but we went to see the house.
Nice.
And we walk in, and in the garage, there is like 2 Range Rovers with the keys on the seats. Not new Range Rovers. The house was empty for like 5 years.
Not
or so
new.
Before. Not new. Then we go in, like in the kitchen, there is the carving board with the knife and like everything. Like people were still
It's
living
like somebody
there.
stopped in time.
But yeah, like people were still living there. There are portraits on the walls, clothes through everywhere, and like crazy stuff, right? Like people's stuff everywhere, purses, shoes, like everything. You know,
It's crazy.
They were just home a second ago. It felt like, unless all the dirt and
Dust and stuff.
dust, yeah. But it felt like they were there a minute ago. You know, and we walked everywhere. The house was beautiful, if cleaned up, like absolutely. So the story was, this was some Nigerian money guy
Yeah.
who was creating the schemes.
Oh.
And he was tipped off that the FBI was coming to arrest him. I'm so sorry, but he was tipped off that FBI is coming to arrest him. So he came home, told everybody, we're leaving in 10 minutes. Whatever you can grab, you grab. And they left that same day with 10-minute notice.
Just packed everything and left.
I
Well,
don't even
packed
know
what
what
they
they
could.
packed. Yeah, like, because stuff was everywhere. Like
That's crazy.
the closet filled up, like everything. The Range Rovers are in the garage, you know?
He left. He didn't take the
How
car.
how
So
long?
I wonder, like, how many cars are left at the airport and never picked up? Those are all the people.
Oh, I mean that's a valid thought.
How
Right?
long did they leave? But when you saw it, like how long ago?
Like 5 years ago they left.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
standing
So it
5
was just
years
standing
that
there for
way.
5
So
years.
it was just in
frozen
time-
in
it's
time.
frozen in time.
And when we started looking like how we can buy that house, the only way that you could buy it, I don't think it had a mortgage on it. It was paid in cash. The only way that you could buy it, if you could go through the tax sale. But weirdly enough, someone was paying the taxes. So it wouldn't even go through the tax sale. And to this date, I don't know what happened, but to this date, that house was never on the market.
Wow.
That must have felt weird walking through. Just
Oh, it
everything
was
just-
so weird.
everything
That
just
It was
stopped.
just
I mean
like
that's
stopped in
gotta
time.
be that's gotta be a little bit nuts.
Oh my gosh.
You're just walking through and you're like, whoa, people live here, but not.
What about you? Well, have you seen anything that's like someone famous or some history in there?
There was a house in Franklin, and I wasn't smart enough at the time to look up like whose it was. But it was all like gold records on the wall and like 80s bands like Guns
Yeah.
N' Roses and Poison and very weird house. It was a ranch and it was very like boxed off. It felt very like that period that's
Like
late
compartmentalized
70s, 80s
yeah,
period. But I never looked up who it was, but it was like, I mean, they had just records, like gold plaques everywhere.
Did you ever find out who it was? Who owned
No, I didn't. And it was in Franklin and it was I remember it was an extremely long driveway.
it was someone
I
important.
couldn't
Longer the driveway, the more important they
I
are.
couldn't find it again if you paid me to. I don't remember, like, because I wasn't thinking about it like that.
Oh, I saw Gloria Gaynor house.
Oh.
Yeah,
Whoa.
it was like 5 minutes from this creepy house. Yeah, she lived on the street there, and her neighbors had a contest of who will decorate better for Christmas, and she would not participate because she would go on vacation, I believe.
See?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see the Little Bear house
Where's that?
in Denville?
No.
Never saw Little Bear. Okay, listen to this. I had a client. They were looking at a lower place, and he's like, Isaiah, you're gonna hate me, but I want to see this Little Bear property. The address is like something Little Bear Road in Denville. It's in a community. It's 11 or 12 acres,
Wow.
kind of on a cliffside. So it's here, cliffs, and then more property. It is like it's like probably a 8,000 square foot log cabin home.
Wow.
Each log is like this thick on the outside. and like had a pool completely abandoned. The basement had like 10 to 12 foot ceilings of just black mold everywhere.
Oh.
And it looked like you were staying at like Great Wolf Lodge. You walk in, massive like entry. This kitchen now is like stuck in the 60s. It was so big and abandoned that like it had a lot of natural light, but there were rooms that were so far from each other that it would just get dark and you couldn't see to the other side of the house.
Wow.
It
That's
was
creepy.
insane. And some guy bought it like cash to renovate it, but I would love to know what happened. But you drive up and it's these big iron gates with like looked like had like brown bears and like eagles, like Alaskan like animals on it. And dude, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like you're staying at an amusement park. It was insane.
We went to we did a YouTube video on it. That house in Sparta.
Yeah.
It was a lodge, and it was what 15,000 square feet.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was like a hotel. Like at some point, it was like a hotel.
yeah.
It was weird rooms everywhere.
They put in like certain parts of it. They put in like apartments,
Oh.
like 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom apartments in this lodge, and we would walk in, and it was like fire alarms are going off, and it was just
It felt like a haunted house.
Yeah,
like
it did.
The one that you go on for Halloween.
Yeah.
in fact, when we went, someone broke in. Right, someone broke in the glass of the door. We had to call the agent. What?
Oh no! Someone stole.
Or someone stole
the lock.
Yeah, someone
Yeah,
stole
like
the lock.
box or something.
So there was no way to get in. That was a creepy place too.
Yeah, there are a lot of them.
All right, changing topics.
Okay.
What would you say to someone thinking about going into real estate?
Do it.
Do it, sure.
Well,
I would
Don't
say-
quit your day job though.
Yeah,
No,
like
I'm saying do it. Of course, do it. Just know that in the beginning, you have to have supplemental income from somewhere else because it's really hard to get your first client to start rolling. Like, it took me 5 years to start making money that I could leave my day job. But this is the job that you can definitely do on weekends. You can do over the time you're home. So, and it's a great way to do it. Like, just if you're a people's person, if you talk easily to people, this would be a great career for you.
I would say just like know that it's not butterflies and rainbows. You know, like you're gonna work really, really hard to if you want to actually make
And
a
no,
living.
there is no paycheck.
There's no paychecks.
So whatever you sell, that's your money.
No guaranteed income.
And you also have to be very, which I'm not great at, but you have to put away for your taxes.
Well, David.
And no, I pay my taxes, but what I'm saying is like you have to be very disciplined.
Yeah.
As far
With
as
money.
marketing and because
Just
you have to
1 month.
reinvest in yourself.
Yeah, and 1 month you're making money, 1 month you're not. Like when COVID hit, I made $1,300 a month of April. And that was like a wake-up call that this job is not as secure as I thought. And like it was scary when your mortgage payment is higher than what you're making.
The scariest thing about it is like it's one of those jobs where like if you take a week or two off, it will affect your pay. Like it's not like there's no.
You'll need to have somebody to cover.
Yeah, you have to play like you can't just stop. Like if you go away, you have to
still
have
going.
somebody working for you.
There's like a 2 to 3 month lag. Like if I
Always.
start reaching out to leads right now, I'm probably not showing those leads in probably like 2 to 3 months. And it's a lag.
Yeah, and if like Daryna goes on vacation, I cover her. If I go away, she covers me.
Daryna's very many fancy vacations.
Daryna, so here in the beginning,
That's why I work too.
in the beginning,
My reasons of work because I like to see places.
I busted your chops, and I'm sorry because I went the first 3 years of real estate without going away, and she was going away like a lot. What I consider a lot, but
My goal is 4 times a year, every season.
last
to go
year
away.
she hit 9.
There's 9 seasons now.
She hit all 9. So last year
They were short.
they were short, and so last year she went away, and I kept busting her chops. Why are you leaving? You can't go away again. Blah blah blah. And then I went away in October, And I was like, holy shit, this is what it feels like to like not like to actually like stop.
Yeah.
And I got it. I came back and I was like, oh, I get why you go away, because
you're way more productive afterwards too. When you come recharged, you're like jumping in and you're like, I gotta do it. And you feel energized.
Yeah.
When you work nonstop in this business, it drains you.
Yeah.
And then you're not gonna be as productive. You're gonna not like people.
I remember.
You're gonna be this calling me? Oh my God, can I freaking have a cup of coffee?
You're 100. And I remember the flight back. It was a long flight, and I was flying back, and I remember feeling anxiety come back because I was coming back into it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit, I just went a week without feeling zero anxiety. And I told her, and she said, well, why do you think I go away?
Yeah, a little reset button.
And that's, yeah. So now I'm like, oh, go. Just
and
go.
It actually helps your business because you're more productive afterwards. You like what you're doing, and you have that energy about you.
Yeah.
And you're handling people.
Yeah.
Like people versus like you. I feel like if you go too long, you get on edge. And it's not their fault. It's...
No, because then you feel like, oh my God, everything's falling apart.
Yeah.
Like...
And you find out your clients will be fine. Just, hey, I'm going away. I need a little bit of reset. If you're close with them, whatever. Dude. And then I have an agent from my office who's going to cover. Here's your contact info.
Any questions, you can always reach out.
That was the biggest wake-up call was I went away for a week.
Nothing happened.
But, like, deals didn't fall apart.
You're still in the business.
I'm still in the business.
You're still successful. You're still good.
Yeah. And so go take vacations. Is the moral of the story.
If you see an agent and you feel like they want to go somewhere, maybe switch another brokerage, what do you say to agents who are considering moving to another brokerage?
Find the people you look up to in your industry and join their office. Because somebody doing something right in that office.
Yeah.
And that's where they are. Or ask them what their secret is. You know, ask them, is that your office or what are you doing? Some people do with Tom Ferry or like they go through through trainings. Ask them what their secret is. And also what I will tell you is even the successful people, I mean, not the TV successful people, but like New Jersey successful realtors, they will be open to tell you. They will be open to talk to you for a little bit, you know? So that's what I would say, and see what support that a brokerage has to offer you, what they actually give their client. It's not only the split, because split you can negotiate. It's what you get in return. Because as an agent, I always looked at that. I am making you money.
Yeah.
What are you giving me in return? And if all they're giving you is a good split, that's not good enough.
Yeah. Go, like I always say, go where you can grow. If you're gonna just go and you're gonna just work and it's just gonna stay at that level, it's probably not a great situation for you.
So you feel, what's the point of being a realtor if you're just gonna clock in and clock out? Like it's not just about that.
Oh, this job is not about clock in, clock out. It's not,
because there is no real clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
If you measured it on that, it doesn't exist. But I think it's important to be around people that motivate you, to be around people who want to do more.
Yeah.
And who you're inspired by.
Yeah. People who are like, we're
and it
actively.
It doesn't have to be an agent who produces more than you. You know, that's an easy thing to be inspired about. There can be other attributes to that too. Like I adore Mike Bell for his hustle. Like I'm inspired by him because I'm waking up and I'm thinking, well, Mike Bell already like talked to 100 leads in his CRM probably. So I'm like, well, I'm not worse than him. I have to do that too. It's not only about people who produce more. It's about people that you see value in what they're doing, in what they offer.
Yeah.
Like David, I'm inspired by because he is so much people's person. He can talk to you a whole day without actually talking like stuff.
Without being important about it.
I am so bad. I am so bad at small talk. Like going for birthday parties is tragic for me because I feel so much anxiety because I have to talk about something like the weather or like stuff that doesn't really care about, you know? Like the other day I went for a birthday party and the girls were talking brands. And I'm just sitting there like, Like and then the girl.
You're a terrible. What I appreciate about you is you're a terrible faker. Like she cannot fake it.
Oh man,
for the life of her. If she's uninterested, she'll let you know.
She's clocking out.
Yeah.
So, and he is like, he'll talk to you about anything.
For hours.
Yeah.
Like, I'm almost like exhaust you to death. So, but that's one of the reasons why I think we started working together was because, like, for me, I watch her and I watch how she knows the business so well on such a deep level compared to most agents that I wanted to kind of learn from her. And I think we're both the type of person that if we're not being pushed, it's very easy for us to we're both like Netflix people.
Yeah.
So we very easily we could work from home and not work. So I think we pushed each other at one point.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be around people that are consistently pushing you. Like Martha. Martha, you watch.
Oh,
I've been to lunch with Martha and watched her pick up a client as a stranger on the spot. And it's incredible to watch. And you're like, you don't necessarily have to be that, right? But just to be around those people that are kind of pushing the limit.
Yeah. You just learn from them.
You just learn.
Yeah.
Most of real estate is just absorbing.
Surround yourself with people who inspire you and who you can learn from.
Yeah. I agree.
Who will bring you higher.
Yeah.
Okay. And David, what's your real name?
Well, he changed it already.
My real name, no, I didn't change it because...
Explain to the people how your name is S.
So...
This would be good for Instagram Reels.
So, it started, as all things in life, my mother. And so, from my understanding, so my grandfather's name was Sylvester. And everybody loved him, right? So I'm being birthed at the hospital, and it comes time to do the birth certificate, and my mother wants to write Sylvester, and my father's like, absolutely not. Like, we are not naming my son Sylvester. So he leaves to go, probably knowing my dad, go get White Castle or something, and when he comes back, the birth certificate at the hospital says S. David. So David was my grandfather's middle name, and Sylvester was his first. So my mother thought it was a good job, like a good idea to do S. David Kenneth Zach. So I have two middle names.
Interesting.
And so when I got into real estate, Kelly was like, "Oh, this is going to be a problem,"
All right. Well, that concludes Addison Real Estate Podcast. If you're interested in any other videos we have, everything will be down below. Please follow David and Daryna on their Instagrams and everywhere you see them. All their info will be down below. And that's it. Nice talking to you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Benito.
Boom. It was good.